The first thing you need to understand about humans is that they are absolutely insane. No, really. I mean it. Let me back up. My name is Vorath, and I serve as the diplomatic liaison for the Keltharian Trade Consortium. When I say I've met hundreds of species across 17 sectors, I'm not bragging. It's just Tuesday for me. I've shaken appendages with the Glorthians, who communicate through bioluminescent spasms. I've signed treaties with the Vex, who exist partially in another dimension and smell like burnt copper. I've even shared a drink with the Horthack, who breathe methane and consider violence a form of poetry. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for Captain Mara Voss of the Earth delegation. The meeting was supposed to be simple. Humanity wanted entry into the consortium. Standard procedure, really. They'd submitted their applications, passed the preliminary scans, demonstrated sufficient technological development, and now we just needed the formalities. A handshake, some pleasant words, maybe a ceremonial exchange of gifts. Easy. I should have known better when she walked in. Captain Voss was tall for a human, with copper-colored hair pulled back in what they call a ponytail, and these startlingly green eyes that seemed to calculate the structural weaknesses of everything they looked at. She wore a crisp blue uniform with enough medals pinned to her chest that I briefly wondered if humans gave out awards for breathing. Behind her stood two other humans. Lieutenant James Park, a stocky man with dark hair and an expression that suggested he'd rather be literally anywhere else. And Dr. Elena Kowalski, a woman with silver-streaked hair and glasses that she kept pushing up her nose every 14 seconds. Yes, I counted. The Keltharian Council chamber was impressive, as always. Vaulted ceilings that soared 30 meters high, walls embedded with phosphorescent minerals from our home world, and a circular table made from compressed neutronium that could survive a supernova. We took our seats, the formal greetings began, and everything was going smoothly. Then Ambassador Quelix had to open his enormous mouth. Now, Quelix is what we call a Vraxian. Think of a bear, if bears were 3 meters tall, covered in metallic scales, and had 6 arms. Vraxians pride themselves on their physical strength. It's their whole thing. Every greeting, every interaction, every single diplomatic encounter involves some kind of dominance display. Usually, we tolerate it because they control significant mining operations in the outer territories. Usually being the key word. Quelix extended one of his massive hands toward Captain Voss. A pleasure to meet a representative of Earth, he rumbled, his voice like gravel tumbling down a mountain. I look forward to our partnership. I saw it happening. The slight curl of his fingers, the way his shoulder muscles tensed, the absolutely predatory gleam in his 4 eyes. He was going to crush her hand. It's a Vraxian thing. They test everyone this way. They consider it educational. Most species either pull away or endure it with whatever dignity they can muster. The strong ones, the ones who impress Quelix, might manage to keep their limbs intact. Captain Voss smiled. Actually smiled. And she took his hand. For exactly 3 seconds, nothing happened. Quelix was savoring the moment, probably mentally composing the story he'd tell later about the weak little human who'd thought she could match a Vraxian. His grip tightened. I saw Captain Voss's expression shift slightly, just the tiniest narrowing of her eyes. Then she squeezed back. I've studied xenobiology for 40 cycles. I know that humans, despite their small size and fragile-looking frames, possess something called adrenaline. It's a chemical response to danger that temporarily increases their strength, speed, and pain tolerance. What I did not know, what nobody had bothered to mention in the reports, was just how terrifying humans become when they decide they're done being polite. Quelix's expression changed. The smugness evaporated, replaced by confusion, then concern, then something that might have been fear. There was a sound. A very small, very distinct cracking sound. Oh, Captain Voss said pleasantly, her smile never wavering. I'm so sorry. Did you want me to let go? Quelix yanked his hand back so fast he nearly toppled his chair. All 6 of his arms were suddenly cradling the injured limb. His scales had gone from their usual bronze to a sickly yellow color. Dr. Kowalski was already standing, medical scanner in hand, but Quelix waved her away with his uninjured appendages. I apologize, he managed, and I'd never heard a Vraxian sound so small. I seem to have miscalculated. Lieutenant Park was trying very hard not to laugh. I could see his shoulders shaking. Captain Voss settled back into her seat, folding her hands on the table as if nothing had happened. Shall we continue with the proceedings? The rest of the meeting passed in a blur. I honestly couldn't tell you what agreements we reached or what terms were set. I was too busy watching Quelix, who kept stealing glances at the human captain like she was a tactical warhead disguised as a person, which, I was beginning to suspect, might not be far from the truth. After the formal session ended, I found myself walking alongside Captain Voss toward the transport bay. Professional curiosity, I told myself. Definitely not fear. Ambassador Vorath, she said, glancing at me. I hope we didn't make a poor impression. On the contrary, I replied carefully. You've certainly made a memorable one. She laughed. Actually laughed. And that's when I realized humanity's application to the consortium wasn't just going to be approved. It was going to change everything. 3 hours after the incident, I found myself in the station's medical wing, watching a Vraxian physician examine Quelix's hand with an expression of profound confusion. Hairline fractures, the physician muttered, his scanning device beeping frantically. In 17 different locations. How is this even possible? The bone density of a Vraxian is 40 times that of standard carbon-based life forms. Quelix, to his credit, had stopped whimpering. Mostly, I underestimated her. You think? Lieutenant Park had somehow appeared in the doorway, holding what looked like a steaming cup of brown liquid. Coffee, I'd later learn. The human vice of choice. Captain Voss went easy on you, by the way. She's been benching twice your body weight since basic training. The physician's scanning device actually sparked. That's impossible. Yeah, you guys keep using that word. Park took a sip of his coffee. I don't think it means what you think it means. I decided this was an excellent time to change the subject. Lieutenant, where is Captain Voss now? Probably in the observation deck. She likes to stare at space when she's thinking. He paused. Or plotting. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. I found her exactly where Park had suggested, standing before the massive viewport that overlooked the Keltharian shipyards. Dozens of vessels floated in the black, everything from small courier ships to massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets. Beautiful, aren't they? She said without turning around. You knew I was coming. Your footsteps have a distinctive pattern. 3.2-second intervals between steps. You favor your left side slightly. She glanced at me. Old injury. I blinked all 3 of my eyes in surprise. A shuttle accident. 12 cycles ago. Healed wrong, probably. You should see Dr. Kowalski. She's brilliant with skeletal reconstruction. Captain Voss turned back to the viewport. We're making you nervous, aren't we? Humans, I mean. There was no point in lying. Your species is extraordinarily difficult to categorize. Good. She smiled, but there was something sharp in it. You want to know why I crushed Quelix's hand? The thought had crossed my mind. Because he expected me to back down. Because he thought I was weak. Because every single species in this consortium has been measuring humanity against their own standards and finding us wanting. She tapped the viewport. We didn't claw our way up from a gravity well 1.3 times galactic standard, survived 2 world wars, a nuclear age, and climate catastrophe just to be treated like children at the adults' table. Fair enough, I said carefully. But you do realize Quelix will file a formal complaint. Let him. She pulled out a small data pad. I've already submitted my own report, including the part where he attempted to physically intimidate a diplomatic representative during official proceedings. That violates Consortium Code Article 73, Section 9. The penalty is immediate suspension of trade privileges for a minimum of 6 cycles. I stared at her. You memorized the entire consortium legal framework. No, just the parts about assault and acceptable conduct. She pocketed the pad. Ambassador Vorath, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you really come to the medical wing? And don't say professional courtesy. Perceptive. Dangerously so. I wanted to see if Quelix was exaggerating his injuries. And he wasn't. I studied her carefully. Captain Voss, I need you to understand something. The species in this consortium, we've been doing this for thousands of cycles. We have protocols, hierarchies, established power structures. Humanity is disrupting all of that simply by existing. Is that a warning? It's an observation. I paused. Also, possibly a warning. There are those who won't take kindly to being challenged. Then they shouldn't have invited us to join. She met my gaze directly, and I saw something in those green eyes that made my spine ridges stiffen. Determination. Absolute. Unshakable. Terrifying determination. We didn't come here to fit in, Ambassador. We came here to belong. There's a difference. Before I could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Emergency protocols activated. Through the viewport, I saw ships scrambling, defensive grids powering up. My communicator buzzed frantically. What's happening? Captain Voss was already moving toward the exit. I checked my device, my primary heart sinking. Pirate raid. The Kresh Marauders. They hit border stations every few months, steal supplies, and vanish before security can respond. How many ships? Scanners show 47 vessels. Heavily armed. I was running now, trying to keep pace with her impossibly long strides. Station defense can hold them off, but casualties are inevitable. This happens. It's the price of operating on the frontier. Captain Voss stopped so suddenly I almost collided with her. Casualties are inevitable. You just accept that. What choice do we have? She smiled. Not the polite diplomatic smile from earlier. This was something else entirely. Something that probably would have terrified our ancestors when they were still prey animals. Lieutenant Park, she said into her communicator. Wake up the Lincoln. Full combat protocols. Ma'am, we're not authorized for military engagement in consortium space. I'm not asking for permission, Lieutenant. I'm giving an order. Through the viewport, I watched as a human vessel detached from its docking clamp. The UESS Lincoln, according to the registration. It wasn't particularly large by consortium standards. Maybe twice the size of a standard frigate. Nothing impressive. Until it moved. I'd seen fast ships before. The Keltharian Navy prided itself on speed and maneuverability. But the Lincoln moved like physics was optional. It accelerated hard enough that I could see the spatial distortion around its engines, then vanished in a flash of displaced light. Did it just jump drive? Captain Voss said casually. Short range, but useful. The Lincoln reappeared directly in the middle of the pirate formation. What happened next lasted approximately 90 seconds and redefined my understanding of the word violence. Pulse cannons that fired so fast they looked like solid beams of light. Missiles that changed direction mid-flight to chase their targets. Point defense systems that created geometric patterns of destruction so precise they looked like art. The pirates tried to scatter, tried to fight back, tried to run. None of it mattered. When the Lincoln finally stopped firing, 39 pirate ships were disabled and drifting. 8 had managed to escape in a hyperspace. 0 human casualties. The communications channel erupted with confused voices. Station Command. Keltharian Security. Even the Consortium Oversight Committee. Everyone wanted to know what had just happened. Captain Voss activated the general frequency. This is Captain Mara Voss of the United Earth Space Service. The immediate threat has been neutralized. Disabled vessels are ready for your security teams to process. No need to thank us. Consider it a demonstration of Earth's commitment to consortium safety. She closed the channel and looked at me. Still think casualties are inevitable, Ambassador? I couldn't speak. Couldn't process what I'd just witnessed. Finally, I managed. Your application to the consortium is approved. Unanimously. I'll make sure of it personally. Excellent. She extended her hand. Gently this time. Looking forward to working with you, Ambassador Voss. I shook it carefully, very aware of what those hands could do. As Captain Voss walked away, Lieutenant Park appeared beside me, still holding his coffee. Told you, he said. We're absolutely insane. For once, I couldn't argue. Humanity had arrived. And the galaxy would never be the same. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.